So welcome to the public webinar that I hold once a month. It usually goes a heck of a lot smoother. I'm gonna, just because I'm a little flustered with the technology, I'm gonna keep it very simple today and just run through Bitcoin. I was going to cover Bitcoin, Ether like usual, and a few other charts and timely setups and all of that stuff, but I'm having too many issues. I'm quite a little bit, having a bad Saturday morning. So we'll do that, and then for subscribers, I'll put up your guys' requests. I already put up a few of them that you guys had requested, and I'll continue to do that after I get this video up. If you are coming in from Twitter, I will get the video, a link out to this video up, probably do a little editing, just take out the crunchy stuff in the beginning, and get that up. And the same thing with some market folks. You guys will see it. And people that are coming in from market, not part of Crypto Waves, you guys will get the video and the link in the post that I gave this morning. All right, so let's jump in. We've had a pretty nice rally off of the November low. More housekeeping. If you're coming in on Twitter, last thing is that there will be no public webinar on February. And the same thing with folks in market. I have quite a travel schedule in February, on the first week of February and the last week of February. And so the middle of the month, I'm going to devote to subscribers. I don't think it's fair to take, because we do a very simplified webinar during the public webinar. So I want to give them as much as possible while I am in town, because a lot of the other webinars have been canceled, their weekly webinars. So that's the case for February. We'll come back in March for public webinar, FYI. All right, so jumping in, if you're new to my work, you don't know that I had expected a top at 125K starting in 2021 for this cycle. And I view the cycle, I can view the cycle two different ways. One is the bull and bear cycles that sort of Cryptoville and Twitter, talk about, which is really around the halvings, which I think is largely irrelevant. Or I can think of it from a ElliottWave perspective, and in that perspective, 2018 was a very important low that started at an ending diagonal in from 3,000 all the way up to 125K. And when I based that top on, and 125K was based on the length of the third, which occurred during the 2021 cycle. And so that's why in 2021 I started talking about the cycle ending at 125K. So we've hit 126.5, and so far I've come down into a trend line, but we haven't come down into a downward trend, but we haven't necessarily broken the key level that it confirms this top at 75,500. We're challenging it. It looks like we're going to go there next, based on what I'm seeing in the chart, but we haven't broken anything, so there's no confirmation yet. Because I don't wait for confirmations of bear markets before I get relatively flat. Most of my selling happened at about 108 when we got the first drop through here off this B wave. I started selling in there because that was strong enough, and that that preceded only. I actually may have been up here. I may have used a corrective rally up here. I don't remember anyway, but I dodged much of that famous October liquidation during that time, and that liquidation, for a lot of people, they thought of that as fake action. No, to me, that's just sentiment. People piled in leverage there. It's natural that a liquidation happened in there. It's just part of the game when you're near tops. We've always seen action like that at the top. There's no different this top from other tops. The question is just how big and how big of a degree it is. I don't rule out, still will not rule out a run to 140K, but I need a break of 75,500 to rule that out, or call it extremely low probability. But I don't, again, I don't wait for these confirmations. I'm mostly flat. I bought a bit in the November low because we have a low reading in the RSI. They tend to work in Bitcoin. It did work, although I'm still underwater because some of it I jumped in early. That happens. Some of it I've gotten out of. Basically, I'm using a grid bot to manage that trade. We have had a very clear range-bound action, of course. Everyone knows that, feels it off of February. This move is completely corrective. There is no chance we can call this an impulsive reversal by any means. Any ElliottWave person tells you otherwise, I think they're nuts or don't know how to do ElliottWave analysis. That said, this could form a leading diagonal. A diagonal is not an impulse, but it is a motive wave, meaning it forms a new trend. And but I need a 5-wave structure to 106 to say that the setup for from this low we've seen November set up for 140s in place. So and no rush on it, because even if we get that, we could be buying in between the 95 and 85 region, even lower than we're at right now for that setup. So it's really, for me, FOMO, at least the way I see the structure right now, I can always be wrong, but FOMO has no place in this rally personally. So I'm always asking subscribers just to calm down if you're feeling it. I think a lot of subscribers are pretty chill. I think they can see the action that we're range bound. Range bound usually persists the trend that's prior, which was down in the situation. You know, I'm talking about this trend here, went sideways, and we should get another drop. Probabilistically speaking, again, you know, everything I say, I should remind you guys, none of this is financial advice. Everyone has to trade different. You guys have different positioning, different portfolio, different risk tolerance. So I can't tell you to do anything, and treat this like analysis. And I'm wrong a decent amount, right a decent amount. So, you know, I could be wrong about all of this for sure. I'm seasoned at trading, and so I know how to adjust when I'm wrong. So I have no problem being wrong. The whole point of trading is not being right; it's being profitable. That means risk is managed, and you know, it's profit taking where it's appropriate. Like I say, trading has there's no place of perfection in trading. Like you're never going to get it perfect. All right, so where we're at today in this move here, upward, again, even the structure down here, I see it highly improbable that we'll move to 103, but moving to 103 is the first sign of that blue diagonal, which I shared just a bit ago. And the question right now to me is, have we finished this move? We're holding a support level right now, and I'm seeing some inclination to come off of it, but this move off of it that we have this weekend is not impulsive. So it's not likely to hold very easily, but I would prefer to see it get one more move up to 98,700. So we'll just see how it develops. If it breaks through, I would say the week's low, it's a warning. That's the low that, you know, just this little wick here, and further, if we break through 94, that should start to move down. But I would need to see 5 waves in red to make it reliable. Actually, let me see if I can get some. I don't think I have all my data on. It actually looks to me like if it does break, that 4 is already in place. Yeah, so if it does break, we do have the 4 in place, and then so the next, I would consider the next move down if it breaks 94K as that 5, and then that would suggest, provided that circle 2 is corrected, that it should go down. So I don't see a giant edge here. If I was to, I'm not going to take any trades this weekend. I am trading less on the weekends than I used to. But if I was to twist my arm, I would trade long with the stop. If someone was to twist my arm, I would trade long with the stop at that low. Because if that low breaks, the probability starts to swing towards the move down has begun. So that's where I'm at with this. Again, I'm sitting on my hands. I'm doing nothing. The place that I want to trade on the short side is after 5. I would trade at 2. Where that low ends up a little bit, where it ends up, hypothetically probably around 96K, but it's hard to know until we have the 5 and circle 1 in place. And that would start the move. If that shows, then it would start to move down to actually 72 is the projection. 72 to 73, depending on the data set. And that would also break and confirm that this bear market has started. I want to take us out to the monthly on TradingView. Again, what is this? A lot of people, you know, some of you guys are new, you don't know what the bear market I'm talking about. I'm talking about a multi-year bear market in the worst case, which is this circle 4. And in that bear market, this is only the A wave of the A wave, at least in the base case. Now, unfortunately, with wave 4s, we cannot predict structure shape ahead of time. We're very early in it if it has started, so this probably will change. And another aspect of it is that it's not just something to trade on the short side. I'll have opportunities on the long side. You can see my B waves up here. I don't know if this B wave is going to be at all-time highs. It could be this one at all-time highs, but the probability of a B wave that goes to all-time highs, even as high as 225, is reasonably probable. So it's not a guarantee, but I am going to be trading long and short through this bear market. Just going to be very careful about where I pick my spots, right? And the next place I tend to trade substantially long is right now down in the 72 region. unless we form that blue leading diagonal that gives us an opportunity at the 95K region. So that's where I am now personally, once I get out of the last of the little longs I had off of the November low, if the market will let me out. Let's see what else to say about this. Oh, and then the alternate view is that we hold somewhere between, in this blue box, between 55K and 25K, and then set up actually for $1 million. I see it as low probability, but the long-term chart of Bitcoin is incredibly difficult, and so it's reasonable to consider something like that happening. So, but it's for me, it's a matter of observation. We get into support level, we get into 55K down to 25K, and that's when that impulse shows. And it should be a large impulse. I'm showing it here. This is an estimation, but if let's say we hit 25K and we break to say 100, then that would be a nice setup if it's impulsive. I'm going to be long down in this region. I expect to be anyway, so I'll be riding that move up. The question is whether that move up ends up corrective, and it's corrective, I'll be looking for exits. If it's impulsive, I'll hold on to some of my position, cut some of it, and then look for that 2 over here to get on long. So that's a lot of things in the future, but it's very far off right now from the way I see it, unless we get a surprise impulse between here and here, and basically that 95K region, or possibly even hold 75,500 and show an impulsive rally out of there also as well. So there's a lot of things to watch for, but right now this market is acting very bearish to me. Again, finding a major low and then just basically going sideways. I mean, yeah, we can call it a rally if we want, but it's not a strong one. It not only is it ABC, but it's also a C with an ending diagonal, which is not a strong pattern. So that's a warning. All around. So just be careful here. If you're seriously long, have a stop in mind. I would not want to be long at all personally below 89, and I might consider that small bit of Bitcoin that I bought off the November low. I may end up taking an L on it if 89 breaks from here. I'm gonna consider it. It's not, again, I'm not in very heavy since 108. The main thing I'm going to be looking for is to be buying around 75 to 72K. There's something else I'm gonna say. Oh, and then one more thing, possibility, and I'm sorry we're in a situation where there are a lot of possibilities when a corrective is, if we continue over 103 and don't form 5 waves, we may have one of these alternate B wave tops, whether it be here or here. And again, the difference between the blue and the red is whether we have 5 waves or 3 waves. Okay. And if we have a 3-wave top into this region, then it's pretty deadly actually, because the next move down is sizable and can take us down into that 55K or 25K versus holding in the 72K region. So I know that's a lot. Again, because of all the technical difficulties, I'm going to focus on Bitcoin. Stop here. I assume we'll have a lot of questions because I went through a lot of material. And at the same time, we're also at a very key spot right now with this November low that has formed this, again, I say rally in quotes because it's been very choppy and very clearly an ABC pattern, and even worse, overlapping in the C, which is that's kind of a structure that tends to be a structure for a violent reversal, and I mean down. So there's a lot to consider here. Be cautious if you're trading. Again, please don't take anything as advice. I'm trying to tell you what I'm doing and the way I'm looking at it. But I don't want anyone making any drastic moves that don't fit your own strategies and perspectives on the market. But I'm just letting you know that I see this as a pretty big warning in terms of the structure we have here and now. And we'll see if it changes. All right, so let me, gosh, I barely know how to use this new client. It's kind of horrible. Let me know if you guys if you guys have any questions. And then on top of it, we've got a chat function. Looks like nobody's using that, so that's good. Let me know if you have any questions so far. And I really hate the way they've designed this. It's pretty terrible. Steve Hudson, you always have no audio, I think. I think you've said that several times. Any guys have questions at all? I know, Will, you always got questions typically. Can you zoom in short-term time frame again, please? Yep, sure thing. Gosh, I feel like I need to complain to go to about the interface. So again, 90. Well, I said 94K, but 93,500 is the literal support here. It's possible that we come down and do this here. I'll draw some arrows. It is possible. Again, to me, this is all not nice enough for trading. The structure is pretty ugly. But if we hit tap support again and reverse, by all means, we should get up into 98.8, maybe even to 100% potentially. We break 93.4. I consider again 94.4K period a warning. Then we may have 5 waves off that high, and then I'll be looking at short at 2. And I'm very interested in this short, by the way. I have some, again, a small bit of spot, so I have very little interest in trading long in such an ugly structure, but I'm very interested in riding down, especially since I have some longs on, getting some futures on in this one too if it forms. Again, it's just, to me, I'm just in an observation mode because we've got a crazy mess up here. So I'm looking for where the opportunities are that are more manageable, more compelling, better risk to reward. And so you can imagine taking a trade here at 95K short, got 2K risk for a $20,000 drop. That's a beautiful trade to me. So that's what I'm most interested in, particularly that I have, I still have, long-term cold wallet longs. I've got some spot swing longs off the November low. So obviously I'm very interested in short and kind of managing my portfolio, cutting my longs, getting short, and writing that down. That's where the trade is interesting to me. That's different from saying the probability is there. It's just that advantageous trade with my portfolio situation. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. This is annoying, so I've got to go back to. It used to be that I had. Let's see, can I turn? Let's see. I'm trying to figure out MotiveWave. It's like now that I'm in the client looking at questions, I can't actually manipulate MotiveWave. This is annoying. It's terrible. Yeah, Will, you always have questions. I remember you. You're always here. Do you have any questions, Willie or Willie? Anyone else have questions? I'm gonna hang up in a bit. So you guys, I mean, this is the last webinar in at least public webinar in 2 months. So if you guys have some questions, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit more time than usual, and then I'm gonna hang up after. And again, I'm not ready to show all the other charts because of all the problems this morning. So Willie says scaled out significantly at 110K, partly thanks to you. Thank you for that. No, that's awesome. That's good. See, William, see, what was that number that and your question was cut off? Let's see, why did you switch to MotiveWave? MotiveWave, when you're doing ElliottWave, MotiveWave is killer. It's buggy this morning, but MotiveWave does auto. So like TradingView to me is crappy for ElliottWave. The only reason I have to use that on my long-term chart is because my MotiveWave data provider ditched all the old long-term data, and there's a way to import it back in. I just need to muck with it. But MotiveWave is like ElliottWave purpose built. Like it auto degrees everything. It doesn't do ElliottWave for you. It's actually terrible. They have an auto wave function, which is terrible, but they do auto degree really well, so I can fly through it. So if I pin 2 counts together, one's of a different degree, it'll basically change that degree and just speeds you up giantly. It's huge. And just the way you can pull off ratios, instead of pulling out a fib tool like you do in TradingView, you can just right click and throw down some fibs. So it just, I do hundreds of charts for subscribers, and this is the only way to do it. I have some things that I've never moved from. The problem with moving from TradingView to MotiveWave is you have to set up the data provider and all that. So some of the charts that I view as temporary, temporary coverage for just, like altcoins that go away after a cycle. I don't move them over to MotiveWave because setting up the data and getting all the old data in there is a pain in the butt. So that's why. Long story short. Roberto need to hold. So yeah, 93.5 at least reliable. It doesn't mean short. It just means that if you reliably want one more wave higher, 93,500, and that wave can go from 98.8. I can see potential 100K potentially. Doesn't ideally get that high, but it's possible. Again, is it good enough for me to trade it? It isn't to me. It's not good. If I see a really clear impulsive reversal out of that region and it looks like a really good setup, I might take it. But I'm much more interested personally in enjoying my weekend than taking that trade personally. That's the way I see it. But it is possible. Can you comment on the ETH and Solon briefly? Solon, I expect it to top at 149. I don't remember what my we could bring it open. I got MotiveWave kind of working, and that chart is updated, so I'll do that. I don't want to allow like a bunch of requests to fly in because I'm not really ready for that, and I like to keep that to paid subscribers. But this could be the top right here in this 4, and then the drop would be 105. This isn't a bear market in my view too. Sort of done, and then after 1 it should go to 2, and then more bear market. This used to be my target, but every indication this is not going to be hit. But confirmation is breaking into this 1. It's just this is, again, like, look at it, downtrend, sideways action, right? And so as long as that action can't be turned into a valid reversal or doesn't morph into a valid reversal, which in this case would be a diagonal, I'm expecting more downtrend. So as much as I interact with Solana a lot, I'm on chain a lot. I love it as a protocol, but it's in a bear market. My point of view. One more high is potential here in this 4, but if it breaks, it always takes as a break of that low, and even more confirmation of break of 130 to suggest that it's done, and it's on its way to 100. Would confirm a bear market. So that's where I'm at with that. Ether, I'm not prepared much to say in Ether because I haven't been able to update the charts this morning. But again, it missed my, again, same thing. You guys have been in public webinars, you guys know. It missed my target of 10.5. Altcoins miss all the time, so there's no skin off my back, so to speak. No problem with, I have no problem with that. But some people may be frustrated by that. And right now, again, same thing, range bound, 4th wave. And 5, I'm just waiting for the 5th down. It is possible that it holds this red setup and finally gets to my target. 1300 1200 is where I would allow it, depending on the data set. 12 to 1300. I see a low probability actually. So I'm just saying it's possible. That's what's possible, but is it probabilistically likely? I don't know. I'm not seeing that way, but it's possible that we get a nice flat off this 5 down, ends up being A, and get a nice B and C, and then nice to feel differently once we arrive. And I certainly would take the trade if I felt different, but I'm not sure that'll be the case. So that's Ether. Let's see. Thanks. See, a lot of people expect the reef rally to 103 to 100K. Do you think that we get that? I see it as possible for sure, but the question right now is whether this continues to 103, 108, and I would call that a B wave by then. And then that will be a train wreck afterwards, or we first take a trip to 75K. I prefer the latter for sure. I mean, that's the main thing I'm showing, but yeah, for sure, it's possible that this sideways action we have kind of stretches over to 103, 108. Possible, totally possible. Do I see that probabilistically likely? No. That's not what I'm seeing. Especially with all the overlapping in that C wave that I showed you guys, like that right there is train wreck city. Waiting to happen, but again, like I've said, I do my best to do analysis, and the market tells me I'm wrong plenty of times. That's okay. Like the really, for me, trading is all about knowing where to put my risk levels. Like it's not about like being right or wrong. It's like when I'm wrong, I'm out and I'm good. And I'm trading. Some of my trades I trade very broadly, like the longs off the November low. It's a very broad trade. Like, and then sometimes I'm taking an intraday trade that I've got a few $100 on the stop. So there's different ways to skin a cat, and and I have different portfolios. My swing portfolio is long right now, but not as long as it was at 108, and it's long from like an average of 100 something because I started buying when the RSI broke through 30. So that ended up being really early, really early, and some of it I'm out of, but some of it I'm a bit underwater. There's some sell orders around 98 next for that in the grid bot. The grid bot placed them there. Those are the last sets. 98 to 100 and something. If I don't get it now, I expect to get it. I expect to get it later, but I may pay for that expectation. But just keep in mind too that I short like very rapidly when a setup is right. So all that stuff gets hedged off and some with the short side of the trade when the setup is right. And right now there's no setups. Like that is no good. I mean, you can trade the long setup off this low we have a weekend. I just don't think it's great. It's not a great looking setup right now. Any other questions? I think sitting on the hands enjoying your weekend's a good mode right now. That's if I since that's not financial advice, I can give that as advice. Is, you know, enjoy your weekend right now, and then just let's see what shakes out in the next couple weeks. It's gonna be it's a key point. That's the main point. We are at a very key point right here of this off the November rally. But try to enjoy your weekend. Let's see when from here we go to 74K. You take along with a target. 74K, I would expect to move back into the 90s. You know, again, I like my last RSI trade wasn't so hot, but if you look historically, once the daily closes under 30 RSI, you can generally get a trailing stop underneath it. Once, you know, the problem I had is I started early and then gridded it, and so some of that I've gotten out of, some I want. I don't know if I'm gonna do the same thing at 74. Probably try to get as close to the bottom as possible, or wait for the reversal. And then, yeah, I would expect it to go back from 90. And there's, again, a thin possibility we go from 74 to like 130. It's just, you know, that's when all of Twittersville or Xville will think we're in a new bull market. And I would suggest, well, it depends on the structure. If it's clearly impulsive, like the move to 140 will be, should be, then I'll take it. But if it is corrective and breaks to an all-time high, that's a very dangerous setup, because that's when everyone's gonna be like breakout and then trap. You know, again, it could be either or to me from here, but we'll see what the manner of the rally is. It's just observing the structure and whether it truly is an impulsive structure or corrective, right? So yeah, 90s I would expect at least. 100s possible. I don't think I'll be, unless the structure's really right, I don't expect myself to hold out for 100, but I'm just saying it's possible. So there you go. So that's a long-winded answer to get to the simple 90s to 100. All right, let's see. Any other questions? And you know, I think let me say this: high B waves in Bitcoin has been the norm in the past. And in actual fact, the all-time high of 2021, I see that as a B wave high, not as the end of the impulse. Then the impulse topped like about 4,000 or 5,000 lower than the top at 65K or whatever it was, 69K, depends on your data. But that was a B wave in my view. It's debatable, but that's an example of the B wave moving on past the end of the impulse. And Bitcoin, even the S&P 500 has a good track record of doing that. So does other equity indexes, but Bitcoin definitely has that habit. So again, at any time we could end up seeing a big B wave rally that just traps a lot of people. If you look at the 2021 top, and it's like very briefly higher than the previous high, and that was it. And you know, we were down for a year, and that was a very, I mean, that drop, that bear market, I mean, was very distressing to a lot of people, because a lot of them are waiting for 200K, right? Like that was this talk, 250K, you know, and we saw that talk again. We saw even people saying 1 million, and so yeah, people are starting to get very demoralized. With this current bear market. And again, how long does it last? I have my perspectives, but I'm also skeptical of my own perspectives, because markets will tell you you're wrong all the time. And so I'll adjust when I see something else that requires that I adjust, for sure. But yeah, you can already see people being demoralized, you know, and they get demoralized enough, then we'll start getting a stronger rally and possibly a B wave to a new high. What is enough? That's the qualitative aspect. I have no idea what is enough. I don't go by feelings of the crowd. I go by price action. But you can see how these shifts happen, right? And we you know, and so I think we need people to really sell at the bottom to get a reversal. It's always how it is, right? So anyway, so that's kind of the qualitative take. But in the end of the day, I'm watching price action. Any other questions? So you guys are pretty. I know people. That's another thing I've noticed is, even my own subscribers who pay, they're starting to get quiet in the webinars, because You know, this is where it gets harder to trade, and there's less to you know, there's less setups that show, et cetera, et cetera. So it's less to do here, and just wait for those really strong bottoms that that are flushed out and low risk and all of that before trading long. Trading shorts is just harder, but and even, you know, subscribers know I did a good job trading short on the way down, but I've had a struggle in here because the range bound action. So I went from like really hot on the trades to pretty weak sauce on the trades of late. And so I've pared back trading, stay out of this range, and then wait for just wait for better setups. It's kind of where I'm at personally, and definitely less trading on the weekend is good. All right, any other questions? I'm getting long-winded now, so I'll hang up. I'll get the recording up when I can, and then I may edit some of it, so that maybe takes time. We'll see what I'm looking at, because all of the technical difficulties may be kind of frustrating. All right, so let me hang up, and then I'm gonna turn